In the year 1888, London was the most powerful city on earth. Yet for the people trapped inside its streets, survival was never guaranteed, even for a single day. Long before dawn, the city breathed out a thick fog laced with coal smoke, rotting waste, and the sharp sting of poverty, a mixture so heavy it burned the lungs before the sun had a chance to rise. Thousands woke not to alarm clocks, but to hunger, cold floors, and the sound of coughing echoing through overcrowded rooms where entire families slept, pressed together for warmth. Disease spread silently through these spaces, carried by unwashed hands, contaminated water, and the rats that ruled the alleys after dark. This was the same London admired by the world, the heart of an empire, yet beneath its grand buildings lay a daily struggle so brutal that most modern people would collapse within hours. To walk these streets was to step into a city that tested the human body and spirit without mercy. As the morning unfolded, London revealed a rhythm that favored endurance over comfort, where every hour demanded constant movement just to remain alive. Workers flooded into the streets before sunrise, their boots splashing through sewage that flowed openly along the roads, because proper drainage was still a luxury in many neighborhoods. Children as young as 6 joined adults in factories, workshops, and markets, their small hands already scarred from labor that never paused for rest or safety. The air inside textile mills and slaughterhouses was thick with dust and blood, causing lungs to weaken long before adulthood arrived. Clean water was rare and many families drank from pumps known to be contaminated, yet thirst left no alternative. A single injury, a slip on a wet cobblestone or a cut from rusted metal, could mean infection, unemployment, and death within days. Survival in 1888 London required constant vigilance because the city punished even the smallest mistake. By nightfall, the danger intensified as London transformed into a landscape of shadow and fear that few could navigate safely. Gas lamps cast weak yellow light over narrow streets where crime flourished, and police presence was thin across vast districts packed with desperation. This was the year of Jack the Ripper, and terror gripped entire communities, especially the poor, who knew no help would arrive in time if screams echoed through the fog. Lodging houses crammed dozens into single rooms, where sleep offered little protection from theft, violence, or disease. Alcohol became an escape for many, yet it also fueled brutality and accidents that filled hospitals already overwhelmed with patients. Even rest was dangerous, as fires sparked easily from open flames and overcrowded buildings collapsed without warning. In this London, survival was not about strength or intelligence alone, but about enduring a city that never stopped grinding down those who lived within it. As the night deepened, London revealed its most unforgiving truths, where exhaustion became as deadly as hunger or disease. Those who managed to secure a place to sleep often did so in lodging houses, where the air was so thick with sweat and sickness that breathing felt like work. Mattresses were shared, floors were packed shoulder to shoulder, and the sound of coughing never truly stopped, spreading illness from one body to the next without resistance. Outside, the streets belonged to the desperate, where pickpockets, beggars, and the homeless competed for survival under the same cold sky. The Thames, once a source of life, had become a slow-moving poison, carrying waste and decay through the heart of the city, its smell drifting into nearby homes even in the dead of night. For many, dawn was not a promise of safety, but simply another round in an endless struggle, where waking up meant facing the same dangers again. London in 1888 did not kill quickly. It wore people down piece by piece, until survival itself became an act of defiance. Morning in London did not bring relief, only movement, as the city's suffering shifted shape rather than disappearing. Before sunrise, factory whistles pierced the fog, pulling workers from cramped rooms where sleep had barely touched them. Men, women, and even children flooded the streets, their faces already gray with fatigue, knowing that a single missed shift could mean starvation by nightfall. Inside the factories, airless rooms roared with machines that crushed fingers, burned skin, and destroyed lungs over time, while outside, street laborers hauled coal, sewage, and carcasses through narrow alleys slick with filth. Food, when available, was cheap and dangerous, often stretched with sawdust, chalk, or spoiled meat that invited illness instead of nourishment. Doctors were luxuries few could afford, and hospitals were places of fear where many entered but never returned. In this London, survival depended on endurance rather than strength, luck rather than justice, and routine rather than hope. Every day repeated the same brutal test, and for most people the city did not offer a future, only the challenge of lasting one more day. As night returned, London became even more dangerous, transforming into a maze where shadows hid hunger, desperation, and quiet violence. Gas lamps flickered weakly, leaving long stretches of darkness where footsteps echoed too closely and strangers vanished without a sound. The exhausted poor crowded into lodging houses where disease spread faster than warmth, and a single cough could infect an entire room before dawn. For those without pennies, sleep happened in doorways, under bridges, or not at all, as police pushed bodies along to keep streets clear. Crime thrived in these hours not from cruelty alone, but from survival, as theft often meant the difference between eating and dying. Meanwhile, the river continued to swallow waste and secrets alike, carrying away evidence of lives that simply disappeared. In 1888 London, the night did not mark rest or safety, but a second trial layered atop the first, proving that surviving daylight was only half the battle, and surviving the darkness was something far fewer ever managed. As night returned, London became even more dangerous, transforming into a maze where shadows hid hunger, desperation, and quiet violence. Gas lamps flickered weakly, leaving long stretches of darkness where footsteps echoed too closely, and strangers vanished without a sound. The exhausted poor crowded into lodging houses where disease spread faster than warmth, and a single cough could infect an entire room before dawn. For those without pennies, sleep happened in doorways, under bridges, or not at all, as police pushed bodies along to keep streets clear. Crime thrived in these hours, not from cruelty alone, but from survival, as theft often meant the difference between eating and dying. Meanwhile, the river continued to swallow waste and secrets alike, carrying away evidence of lives that simply disappeared. In 1888 London, the night did not mark rest or safety, but a second trial layered atop the first, proving that surviving daylight was only half the battle, and surviving the darkness was something far fewer ever managed. As the cycle repeated day after day, the true weight of London in 1888 became clear, not as a single moment of horror, but as an unbroken test of human limits. The city demanded constant resilience, allowing no pause for recovery, because illness, hunger, and danger did not wait for strength to return. Families lived with the knowledge that losing one wage earner could collapse everything, pushing them into the streets within days. Children learned the city early, memorizing safe routes, dangerous corners, and the signs of trouble, because childhood offered no protection here. Even those who survived for years carried the cost in their bodies, damaged lungs, weakened bones, and exhaustion that aged them far beyond their time. London did not need catastrophe to destroy lives because its everyday conditions were enough. Looking back, a real tour of London in 1888 reveals why most people today would not survive a single day within its streets. The absence of safety nets, clean air, reliable food, and medical care created an environment where survival depended on constant endurance rather than comfort or security. What the world admired as the center of progress was, for ordinary people, a relentless machine that consumed energy, health, and hope. Yet millions lived there, not because it was survivable by modern standards, but because they adapted to conditions that allowed no alternatives. London in 1888 stands as a reminder that history's greatest cities were often built on lives stretched to their limits, where survival itself was the quiet achievement that history rarely records. As dawn rose once more over the city, The repetition itself became one of London's greatest dangers, because there was no clear escape from the cycle that ruled daily life. Those who survived learned not to expect improvement, only continuation. Another day of work, another night of risk, another breath drawn from polluted air. Hope existed, but it was fragile, tied to small changes rather than transformation. A steady job, a kinder landlord, a child surviving illness. London in 1888 demanded emotional discipline as much as physical endurance, because despair could paralyze just as quickly as disease. People learned to narrow their focus to the present hour, knowing that thinking too far ahead only revealed how uncertain everything truly was. The city shaped its inhabitants into survivors not through strength, but through necessity. In the end, walking the streets of London in 1888 reveals a reality far removed from the romantic images of empire and progress. This was a city that thrived outwardly while consuming the lives of those who powered it from below. The reason most people today would not survive a single day is not a lack of courage, but a lack of preparation for an environment where safety, comfort, and rest were rare privileges. London endured because its people adapted to conditions that modern life no longer demands, paying a price written into their bodies and shortened lives. A real tour of this city shows that survival was not guaranteed by wealth or law, but earned daily through resilience in a place that never stopped testing human limits. As evening settled yet again, the city's exhaustion deepened into something heavier, a weariness that reached beyond the body and into the mind. London in 1888 offered little silence, even at night, as carts rattled, arguments broke out, and the sounds of suffering never fully disappeared. Those who managed to rest did so lightly, alert to fire, theft, or sudden illness, because danger respected no schedule. Many lived with constant anxiety, knowing that tomorrow's survival depended on forces they could not control: employers, landlords, weather, and health. This mental strain was as damaging as the physical conditions, slowly eroding hope and resilience over time. The city did not crush people all at once. It did so gradually, through repetition and pressure that never eased. When viewed as a whole, London in 1888 stands as one of the harshest urban environments ordinary people were ever expected to endure. Its greatness was built on relentless labor, and its beauty was layered over suffering that history often smooths away. The reason most people today would not survive a single day is simple. Modern life no longer requires this level of constant vigilance, deprivation, and endurance. Yet those who lived there adapted because they had no choice, turning survival into routine rather than exception. A real tour of Victorian London reveals not a city of romance or mystery, but a place where survival itself was the daily achievement, earned quietly by millions whose stories were never written down, but whose endurance carried the city forward through its darkest years.